360 Dialogue. My name is Leila Duraz, and I will be your facilitator this morning. Today's session, entitled The Future of Supply Chain and Logistics, will attempt to address how the world is witnessing a dramatic transformation in the supply chain and logistics space. The global economy has been reshaped under new economic pressures, and businesses must now remain dynamic in the face of new challenges and adapt their supply chain strategies to remain resilient. As strategies shift, businesses must now look at alternative supplier regions in closer proximity to origins of production. In addition, they need to reprioritize their distribution channels, taking the rapid rise of e-commerce into consideration, as well as changes in health and safety measures in light of the global pandemic. In this context, the 360 Dialogue series will offer you a platform to benefit from peer expertise, to gain insights into the new movements in business and what is currently affecting companies and industries from varying perspectives. The Future of Supply Chain and Logistics will attempt to provide insights from various perspectives, covering facilities, technologies, as well as initiatives for more efficient and sustainable business operations. Before we get started, I'd like to bring to your attention key interactive elements of our webinar today. All delegates have the opportunity to send a question to our speakers throughout the webinar using Ask a Question icon at the bottom of your screen. You can also use the dialogue box to the right side of your screen if you wish to communicate with your fellow peers present today. So before we get started, I would now like to introduce Hasan Alhashemi, Vice President for International Relations, representing Dubai Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Over to you, Hasan.
Thank you, Leila. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Dubai Chamber of Commerce and Industry, it is my pleasure to welcome all of you to our second 360 Dialogue event of the year. This newly launched series is a platform for knowledge sharing and insightful dialogue. 360 Dialogue puts the spotlight on issues of particular interest to businesses in Dubai, drawing valuable expertise and insights from business leaders who are making their mark on their respective industries and responding to new challenges and developments created by COVID-19. Logistics has seen its share of new challenges in the wake of the pandemic. It has disrupted global supply chains while some countries continue to impose lockdowns and tighten border restrictions. Despite these obstacles, Dubai's logistics sector showed strong resilience thanks to several factors such as the Emirates' advance and vast logistics infrastructure, uninterrupted air cargo traffic, e-commerce boom, sharp uptick in medical supplies imports, and a smooth transition towards digital services that ensured business continuity and economic competitiveness. When other economies experienced a halt in trade activity, Dubai remained open for business and capitalized on an opportunity to handle exports and re-exports from neighboring transit hubs, strengthening its competitive position as a global trade hub. Now, to add to that, logistics companies reopened to an e-commerce boom by scaling their services to meet growing demands. With this trend expected to continue, there is reason to believe that logistics will become a bigger contributor to Dubai's economy in the post-pandemic era. Ladies and gentlemen, the United Arab Emirates ranks first in the region and third globally after China and India in the 2020 Agility Emerging Markets Logistics Index. Transport infrastructure investments in the country crossed 100 billion dirhams between 2006 and 2018, according to analysts from Ken Research. The same firm also projects the country's logistics market to generate over $30 billion by 2025, as it reaps the benefits of Expo 2020, economic diversification, and new infrastructure projects. Today, we have an opportunity to get a glimpse into the future and hear from industry leaders about where they see these sectors headed. From a trade perspective, We've seen growing interest on the part of companies around the world that are keen on leveraging Dubai's strategic geographic position, world-class logistics infrastructure to reposition their businesses as they prepare for a post-COVID-19 recovery. Throughout this transition, Dubai has found itself in a strong position, given that it had already been placed at the forefront of technological innovation in the transport and logistics industry. Hyperloop One, a under development new mode of mass transportation, is a prime example of how the city is investing in innovation as a foundation for a future-ready economy. Hyperloop recently reached a milestone as it completed its first test drive with human passengers. We are now beginning to see how this game-changing technology is redefining what is possible in terms of transporting not only cargo, but also people. Ladies and gentlemen, amidst all of these changes, we as a Chamber of Commerce, we're playing a crucial role in keeping the private sector informed of the latest economic developments and market trends. And this series is one of many other initiatives advancing such efforts. I look forward to forthcoming discussion and learning more about what the future may hold for logistics in Dubai and around the world. I hope you will find this session to be thought-provoking and informative. Thank you all for your kind attention and participation. Back to you, Leila.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Hasan. I would now like to introduce Omar Khan, Director for International Offices, representing the Dubai Chamber of Commerce and Industry, who will be moderating our panel discussion this morning. Over to you, Omar.
Thank you very much, Leila. Thank you very much, Hasan. Ladies and gentlemen, it's great to be here. I wish I could say it's great to see you, but hopefully that will be the case soon. Carrying on from the theme of the 360 dialogue of my colleagues, like we said, the digitization of the world is ever more accelerating, and it's becoming exponential, and it's getting involved into all of our life experience, taking more and more of it online, even our thoughts and feeling, which is sometimes a little scary. But with these, the challenges are accelerated by COVID and the pandemic. And sometimes that's a good thing, where we have delayed certain evolutions and it's pushing us towards the forefront. And once again, change is calling the name of Dubai. And the Emirate has never shied away from it, and it always embraced it and found ways to make it a strength. And we are now, I feel, at the cusp of what I call the new 1995. Because for me, 1995 is when I just saw the internet for the first time. It was a green and black screen on a server called the Telnet email screen, if some of you are old enough to remember. And in the same year, by December, I saw the Netscape Navigator, a beautiful graphical interface that opened a world of possibilities. Now you fast forward 25 years later, and there are so many applications of the internet, such as Uber, Netflix, Zomato, Wikipedia, Audible, Amazon, YouTube, and Spotify. And those are just on the front-facing side. There's so much magic in the internet that's running the engines of today, including, to a large part, logistics. So the world and different industries are hurtling towards hyper-competitive singularity, and logistics, whether physical or information, are at the heart of it. They are there to help people make decisions, whether they are consumers, whether they are product movers, and whether they are manufacturers, and where they want to move, store, and sell their products. The UAE and Dubai in particular have always been on the lookout to attract revolutionizing concepts. It's always been a home attracting any ideas that could help it become even faster and more proactive. As a small competitor in the region, we have to be fast. So we always welcome any of these movers. So with all these changes, what does this all mean for the logistics world and the future of Dubai? And with that, well, to help us answer these questions and shed some light on these changes, it is now my pleasure to introduce our esteemed guests and panelists today. First, Mr. Mahmoud Al-Bastek, Chief Operating Officer of Dubai Trades World, a subsidiary of Dubai Ports World. Mr. Mahmoud has been involved in the digitization of Dubai since the early 2000s with Smart Dubai, then Dubai Ports, Dubai Trade World, and today it's going global. Second, I have the pleasure of also introducing Mr. Harj Dhaliwal, Managing Director for Middle East and Africa for Virgin Hyperloop One. And last but not least, of course, Mr. Yasser Jamal, Vice President of Supply Chain Middle East North Africa of Unilever. Gentlemen, welcome. My first question today is be directed at Mr. Mahmoud regarding the importance of Dubai and Dubai trade being digitized. I remember a few years ago, you gave a speech at the E-Services Excellence Award. I think it was the 9th edition, where you highlighted 2 or 3 years ago that all transactions of clientele at the free zone in Dubai, Ports World in Dubai were 99% digitized. Given what has happened with the pandemic and given seeing different reactions around the world, how has that helped Dubai going forward and tackling it? And where do we stand? Because one of the things I said, it's not about how you compare against 2019 numbers, but at the end of the pandemic, as people come out of it, what will Dubai's position be? So if you could maybe shed some light about the digitization of Dubai, how we have coped, and what do you think, you think it will help us going forward, Mr. Mahmoud? Floor is yours.
Thank you, Omar. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everybody. I'm very happy to be included in this session. Omar, Dubai has started the journey, as you mentioned, the new 1995. I like this expression. And yes, for Dubai trade, actually, the pandemic has scared off a lot of government entities and semi-government and private, because some of them, either they were not ready for the online, or where they were partially ready, or maybe halfway ready, or somehow ready. For us, for Dubai trade, we have mastered the game, meaning all the services related to the cargo clearance, from the time the ship arrives, from the time the cargo gets offloaded, the ship goes to the yard, goes in the truck, reaches the warehouse, all these interactions, customs related declarations, inspections, anything to do with the cargo movement activities and clearance are 100% online. And what I mean, there is no human interactions. So you can submit, upload, register, pay, book, trace, track, everything from A to Z. And the achievement that is worth mentioning here, a lot of government claim to be online or claim to be smart services provider, but their community or the users have not really used the services, nor have adopted. For us, we measure that. We measure it, monitor it, and make sure, and even put radical decisions to close down counters for certain services, that there is no way for the customers to go back to the counter unless we are not able to provide access to online. So for us, we have really moved everybody, trained everybody, awared everybody that everything should be online. So for us, pandemic was not like a surprise. We were ready. So for us, it was a reaffirmation, a reassurances, a reinforcement that what we have put into actions based on the chairman's direction, His Excellency Sultan bin Sulayem, following the direction of Sheikh Mohammed, turning Dubai into a digital city and digital economy. We were ready in all means and sense of the talk, not ready theoretically. So pandemic did not scare us in the port of Jebel Ali and DP World and Dubai trade. We were like very much prepared, and the business was business like as usual. It was just another day for us. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your answer, and I also can sympathize as well, because we had moved also at Dubai Chamber 85% of our customer interactions also online, connected with Dubai Customs Risk Engine, and we felt also as well. And I hope it was not easy. COVID is by no means easy, but again, being prepared for it it really helps. Now, switching over, of course, to one of DP World's major clienteles, Mr. Yasser at Unilever, you are experiencing from the other side. Can you maybe talk and elaborate more about how the impact was logistically for the pandemic? Because we would see stories around the world with supermarket shelves and supply chain, and maybe stocks being in the warehouse, but sometimes they're not getting to the right person. And how did Unilever find it? What were the challenges? What was easy? What was hard? And also, being a multinational, can you shed light in terms of Dubai, the city you operate in, compared to what you heard maybe from your colleagues?
Yes, thank you, Omar, and good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be with you here today in this webinar as well. I'd like us to reconfirm what Mr. Mahmoud has just shared with us. We, as an operator in Dubai, have experienced all whatever he was sharing with us actually a few minutes ago. Just for a background, Omar, Unilever operates in 190 countries and manufactured in almost 70 countries around the world. In Dubai or on UAE, we have leveraged on the available logistics capabilities, such as, for example, the readiness of UAE logistics network by shifting from the land to sea freight very fast, even before the pandemic started. Even the port readiness or the port smooth operation with no delays or congestion, which has helped our export operation even during the pandemic. In fact, the crisis has highlighted very clearly that, number one, being with the global scale, agile and adaptive supply chains are very much a competitive edge for businesses. Number two, it's a real opportunity to do well by doing good for the millions of people who have been affected by the crisis everywhere. Number three, the supply chain teams are working around the clock to ensure communities have access to essential foods, health and hygiene products during the challenging time. In Unilever, we started changing the operations in February, even before the peak of COVID-19, which have experienced in March. We have experienced that even the sea freight demand is doubled due to the pandemic. Even with that doubling our sea freight operation, we have it actually very smooth operation in Dubai, frankly speaking. While we have focused on people, in the operation being number one priority for Unilever. For example, the social distancing for workers in the factories, in the warehouses, and the precautions have been taken according to Unilever guidelines and according to the World Health Organization. The pre-booking of sea freight on the route optimization have really helped, played a major role in an export operation in UAE. Adding to that, the coordination with all the government bodies in UAE for COVID scanning and treatment required whenever it's really needed. The global supply chain are needed more than ever. Logistics is not the answer in some cases. For example, most of the world's face masks, face shields, gowns, gloves, COVID tests, ventilators, hospital equipment in the world are mostly coming from China and Southeast Asia. We have been fortunate that the crisis have spread the waves in China around 2-3 months even ahead of the many other countries. So the recovery was very fast, and the countries where supply started again very fast actually in the other part of the world. So finally, it's about the global and local. It's not at the same time. Now, the movement of the products, the movement of the raw material, packaging material, I can touch upon it actually during the event. I need just to have the floor, my colleagues, even to add more to this topic in particular.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And I remember we were talking as well further down the supply chain, where even the retailers, the big retailers, were working 24 hours to ensure just the confidence while the products are in the not on the in the warehouse. They always ensured the front line of the supermarkets were visibly full, just for that mental comfort factor, which went a long way in Dubai. And thank you for that. Mr. Haj, shifting to you, the dark horse of the conversation, Virgin Hyperloop. It's very, very sexy, very attractive. And also in this day of information, a lot of things are kept on a tight lid, but we're very happy heard about this game-changing venture sort of having a successful test. And I know how important safety is for you. I'm going to tease the audience for a bit and talk about the impact a bit later, but can you give us a little bit of an update to the audience about what's going on with Virgin Hyperloop One in the UAE and with you?
Okay, thank you very much for that, Omar, that introduction. And thank you all for giving me the opportunity to be on the Dubai 360 Dialogue today. I'm going to say a lot, which I think is going to be really about thought-provoking more than anything else. But I want to follow on from what Mahmoud said earlier on. And, you know, for those of you who are not aware, I mean, Mahmoud was talking really about how DP World and Dubai has embraced digital technology to enable it to move forward. I also would like to say that DP World has gone one step further, because they are also the largest investor in Virgin Hyperloop technology. And so you can really see that, you know, that vision of looking beyond boundaries is what really has sustained Dubai since 1995, as you said earlier on, and it'll take us through into the future. But from my side, look, you know, we've been working, we're a startup company, 300 employees, most of them based in Los Angeles, with a team of about 14, 15 here in Dubai. And Dubai is the only office outside the US for our organization. But very importantly, when we came here with a vision back in 2017. So we've been here 3.5 years now, and it's well established. But we came here because Dubai is a leader. It doesn't look back, you know, it's happy to challenge boundaries, and it's bold. And to be a leader, you've got to be able to take risk. And so that was the real attractiveness for us to be here, is to be able to actually get the support that's required coming out of the Dubai Future Foundation and organizations similar to that. But as you said, what we've been doing since 2014 when we were founded is to really prove to the world beyond any doubt that a technology where we use tubes, vacuums, and space, aerospace, and high-speed rail technology works. And you know, on October the 8th, what we did was another major momentum milestone within our development, where we put passengers into our vehicle and we propelled it through our test facility in Nevada. So there is no doubt that the technology now has gone to a point of proof of concept at full scale. This is not scale down. This is just to put scale on it. Look at Dubai Metro. It's one of my projects I've worked on. Take one of those carriages, put it into the tube, and then propel it at nearly 300 kilometers an hour. That's what we've achieved in the short space that we've been here. So I think what we've done with DP World, with ourselves, is captured the imagination that transport will change. And it'll change. And when we consider that the last true change in transport was nearly 100 years ago, I think it almost defines belief that, you know, the human endeavor hasn't got us any further forward. So what we are doing is we're continuing to push boundaries, continue to push the technology. More importantly, from today, we're going to disrupt and push logistics. Because the other big part of what we do is not just about moving people, it's about cargo and logistics. And when we consider what's going to happen, you know, and what's happened this year, you know, our behaviors have changed. Before COVID, they were changing. We are moving into an on-demand world. Press button technology is where we're at right now. And what we want to do right now is we don't want to wait any longer. We are impatient. We want things instantly now. And so that has a huge impact on the way the supply chains work, the manufacturers work, and importantly, how do we get things from A to B effectively, efficiently, and sustainability and environmentally friendly. So all of that comes into play. And when we consider what's going to happen, you know, e-commerce is a $4 trillion business in 2020 before COVID. That's probably an old statistic now. Global freight will increase fourfold by 2050. An express facility or express freight will be worth $516 billion by 2025. And that was pre-COVID. Now imagine what's going to happen. It's accelerated. And I think technologies like ours will be a key part to enable expectations to be delivered from a logistics perspective. Now back to you, Omar, on that one. That was quite long-winded, but I think it's exciting.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, I'm very excited because we are spoiled and we want more and we want it now. Now, I can't wait till you have the next project where you can, like in Star Trek, beam us to our holiday destination immediately. But thank you for that. And we've already, that is a good segue to the next part of our conversation, which is about the future of supply chain and logistics. And we're going to be shifting gears. But before we start, we'd like to share a video with you from Unilever. Thank you very much for that video from Unilever. Now, getting back to Mr. Mahmoud regarding the future of supply chain logistics. I remember you were speaking about at one point where there was an attempt to Uberify trucks, Uberify warehouses, and you know, I wanted to talk about that vision. I know you don't have a crystal ball, Mr. Mahmoud, but can you maybe shed some light on what you see as the trends in real life and how Dubai is going to utilize, you know, its resources? Even now we see things like ghost kitchens, where it makes it extremely easy for a business to do its core operations while everything pre and post is taken care of, from advertising, ordering, reputation management, and delivery, all is taken care of, so businesses can work on their core parts. So can you talk about that? And we're like we said, we're waiting for the future. We're being spoiled by the future here in Dubai.
Well, thank you, Omar. As you rightly said, most companies will focus on their core offering and core business, and they will start outsourcing some of the non-core. What I expect that will be a game changer in the next years to come, the trade and logistics players, some of them will be eliminated. I will explain. Some will be disintermediated, meaning today for a small or medium company to import or export, they have to use a customs broker or a freight forwarder as a middleman. This middleman will be reduced slowly and maybe gradually will be eliminated. The big guys are doing it themselves. The big players like Unilever, like Procter & Gamble, anybody who's like in heavy duty importer, exporter, they clear, they ship, they monitor the supply chain by themselves. And they rarely outsource this to an outsider. But smaller and medium guys, usually they go to a middleman to do their booking, their payment, and all their documentation and formalities. Down the road, this will change, because now people and companies look at their bottom lines and where their expenses are coming from. And it's been proven globally that middlemen and the intermediaries, they charge a lot, reaching sometimes to 15 to 20% of the freight cost. It's because of the goods cost. Imagine if the goods cost $1 million, you pay 15 to 20% to the intermediaries and the people in the middle. So this will be slowly getting out of the logistics and supply chain business. The focus will be, as all of us noticed already, door-to-door delivery. Again, for perishables, fruits and vegetables, farmers will be connected to all the way to the shelf line and supermarkets. Why not? If I'm a small farmer, I can tell you how much I can produce. So you can ignite how many trucks do you need to ship, give me how many ship or how many airplanes you have to put in place. So everything kicks the other actions. Every process kicks the other actions. So this can be all change the way we do business now. Now it's all fragmented, it's silos, a lot of islands of data, not integrated, not well interfaced. So this is slowly going to converge, and data is being exchanged, data is being orchestrated, aggregators are coming to the pictures. Now, it will be very simple if somebody wants to export something from east to west. He doesn't bother which airport, which seaport. He just wants to say, I want to ship from A to Z. Find me a solution. Now it's the role of the solution providers to provide all these connectivities. And DP World, we are investing a lot in this. We want to be the real one-stop shop for customers. We are getting out from a simple port terminal operator. We are no longer a port terminal operator. The business has transformed. The world has changed. The business has forced us to be a trade enabler. We want to affect the trade, influence it positively, make it easier, give visibility, give simplicity, broaden your reach, open your new market for companies. This is what DP World is aspiring to do in the next 5 years. And there are a lot of technologies we are putting into place that you will see slowly. The new role of DP World. It's the world that's changing. DP World is changing to cope with this change of the world. And we will be really putting ports, free zone, connected together in many areas around the world. We are in 6 continents. We are expanding as we go. We are going beyond the port boundaries now. As Omar said, I like the word Uberization. Uber became so strong that it became like a verb, like people when they say, Google this. So Uberized, Uber became so successful that people use it as a verb of liberating certain stagnant economy or a field, which is something beautifully done. So a person can find any trucks he wants, any warehouse he wants with freedom and liberty without being bounded to a restriction of the city or any regulation. So yes, future is great, and whoever starts going into this and be the first will get the bigger share of the pie. And we tell the industry, DP World is your partner, and we will help you move your cargo ASAP. Even we integrate you with the air. So DP World is no longer even an ocean freight. We look at ourselves as a multi-modal provider of solutions. Thank you very much.
And what you said was already asked. One question was asked by Mr. Shashi Shekhar from the supply chain group. You were talking about sharing data. So that's excellent that you were talking about also the data being disseminated. And what I always say is, if you're a middleman, you always have to add more value than cost. You always have to add the convenient, and I like also the term you said, that de-intermediation. So the middleman being at a challenge where they have to up the game, they have to add the value, and they have to look at where they can add, just as DP World has done. Now, Mr. Yasser, shifting to you, I wanted to talk to you about, in ways, how you streamline the distribution going forward, especially with the world changing to contactless supplies. I remember at one point I was looking at online booking for traveling versus travel agents. And I was shocked because I'm a quick adopter of technology, very long. So I was still surprised at how many people are still using travel agents. I've tested them recently, and I know that the positive points of having one. But now it's shifted. It's finally gone to online bookings being 66.7% and travel agents getting the minority share. So finally that mountain is shifting. Now, coming back to you, how do you see yourself streamlining? As Mr. Mahmoud mentioned, that you're aware of the change. You are now cost of operations. Sometimes you would give away some transactions because it's the same overhead for a small transaction or a big transaction. Now big companies can afford to do that with all the technology and AI that they have at their beck. So can you maybe talk a little bit about that?
Actually, that's absolutely correct, Omar. And definitely with the digitalization and with the online services, a lot of operation has been internalized and become even more under better even control as well. As I've highlighted, the crisis has highlighted that the global, agile, and adaptive supply chains are very much competitive edge for the businesses. That's in general, but actually it's the leading edge for the companies as well. So you need to adapt yourself with all the new channels coming in the way and whatever development that we're seeing coming globally, step by step. And definitely you need to be in the front liner, and you need to be definitely in the front as well. If we take e-commerce in particular, it's a continuous growth and it's a growing channel. And we have definitely an internal plans for the size of that opportunity as a new channel. From the readiness of Unilever, for example, distribution centers to accommodate for the new needs of the e-commerce. And actually e-commerce has different customers, and actually they are keep demanding different ways of serving them. From the robotic order management and warehouse management, fast picking, for example, mechanism, the last mile delivery to the end consumer, to their home, door to door. As has been mentioned previously, it is a door-to-door service now. No more that you need to go for a middleman, which is, for example, maybe the retail, as an example. As a challenge to have a global supply chain of our size during global pandemics, this is equally our strength and enable us to shift production, for example, to respond rapidly to the market demands and fill supply gaps as a different sites globally in the different countries experience different challenges during the pandemic. And we managed to keep Unilever running with the required supply for consumers. And that's not only in a single country, that's actually in multiple countries. And we have exported a lot of products from our factories, either from Lipton, Jabal Ali, or the personal care factory here in Dubai as well. And we have leveraged all the infrastructure we have it in Dubai to make sure that our products are with the consumers in the region. I'm talking not only about UAE, about even North Africa and Middle East as well, and even beyond the region. Let me give you another example. 80% of our organic chemicals coming from China, as an example. And China was in a lockdown during the beginning of the pandemic. With our backup suppliers network in Unilever and in multiple different countries, we have helped to maintain the raw material supply during the peak of the pandemic. And actually even we get out of the lockdown that actually we are experiencing in India and China at the same time. So it's the supply chain resilience that is the most important. And here I would like to encourage businesses to focus their shock absorption through strategic stocks handling, multi-sourcing maps, and local manufacturing could be a big consideration in this situation as well.
Okay, well, that's very interesting. Like, I can't wait for Unilever to directly have access to customers, and technology can do amazing things. And
it's happening, yeah.
It's hard to imagine as the core function gets closer to the customer. There's many questions from the partners, from everybody close to the supply chain about how it's going to develop and how involved will they be. And that's something where we need to be very proactive. Now, shifting gears to Harj, about Virgin Hyperloop. Yesterday or 2 days ago, we talked about guts, or having guts. We've seen the Dubai government and the leadership enter into markets where the private sector was not fearless enough to go into. Now, Hyperloop is another one. I mean, we've seen Emirates, we've seen Port Rashid, Jebel Ali Port. Many people will say something is not needed until the game changer comes in and changes their needs, the requirements, and the rules of the games. Yes, and you were talking about the potential for expanding capability of airports, of cities, without disrupting the geographies. Can you talk about the X factor that the Virgin Hyperloop one is going to bring?
I think that's a great question. It was a good sort of segue in. I think it's all about taking that risk. I mean, look, you know, when you are at the forefront of technology and you are developing what we are developing, there has to be some risk with it. But at the same time, there's reward. And when we look at where we are with this region, what this region is doing now is diversifying. It wants to diversify into technology. It wants to diversify into innovation and into knowledge. And, you know, with that, you know, if anybody can say to you that we did it, but there was, you know, no going back, or there was no dead ends, for a better word, then nobody makes progress. But what we are doing at the moment is we are building on the themes of diversification that we bring. So I'm going to go back to smart cities, and you just mentioned that a minute ago. You know, when we look at transportation systems, whether it be logistics or whether it be passenger, how are they going to operate? They're going to operate on technologies that now are coming to the fore, technologies that weren't available to us 5 years ago even. You know, if you look at the advances in AI technology, if you look at what this region and the UAE is doing with respect to its space program, you know, we were the first company to sign an MOU with MBZ UAI. You know, we are already collaborating on artificial intelligence, robotics, autonomous technologies. And what does that do? It enables us now to have systems that are capable of being on demand. So systems that are now gathering data, and there's a question here, so I'm going to address that question at the same time. You know, we are getting data, big data, from smart cities. There's more data here in the UAE than probably anywhere else in the world. But, you know, once you bring that onto a common platform, and then you are running using autonomous technologies and AI technologies, systems that can actually predict what's going to happen in 2 hours, 4 hours, 24 hours, then what you are doing is running very, very efficient systems. Okay. So, and what you are now doing is you are not running systems with timetables. Timetables were Victorian effectively, right? With the technology that you've now got in the palm of your hand, you don't need timetables. What you now need is something that's going to be hugely efficient, and you are not running dead capacity. So that's where we're going. That's where we're
electrifying everything, and we're not leaving any assets unused. I've seen sometimes in some places, even parking spaces and cars are left unused. You drive to work, you leave it for 8 hours, and then you drive home and leave it for 8 hours. And I've seen places where we're maximizing these resources. And I think being in the desert, that's what we need to do, because that's the way we live in the desert in the old days.
But more importantly, it's about efficiency, and it's about sustainability. And you know, when you have a system like ours, which actually is in a vacuum, we need very little energy to actually get momentum, get things moving, right?
Yes.
So we're floating on levitation. There's no friction. We've removed the air, biggest impediment. And all of a sudden now you've got a very, very efficient system that uses very little energy. In fact, in a region that we're in with abundance of solar energy and advances in photovoltaics, you know, our view is that you will actually have systems like ours that will be off grid and eventually be able to put energy back into a grid as opposed to take energy out of a grid, right? So I think there's huge advantage. But going back to what you said about risk, about vision, about foresight, that's why we're here. That's why Dubai is successful. That's why DP World is successful in the leader in logistics. That's why we're here. And when we consider where the region's going, I think it's a huge fit for companies like ours to actually establish. So we see a huge vision for us. By the way, I'll just stop very quickly. We came here in 27. That was a vision. That was for a connected Gulf. That was the ability to be able to go from Dubai to Abu Dhabi in 12 minutes, Abu Dhabi to Riyadh in 48 minutes, and then connect from Riyadh to Jeddah and to Mecca. That is the vision that we're working to. And that vision, you know, is a decade away.
Well, sometimes you need to have the vision. Actually, the visionaries actually help people look forward. And about taking risk, we have a saying where it says, victory has 1,000 fathers or 100 fathers, but defeat is an orphan. And that, like you said, you have to take the guts. You have to Many people will say, oh, yes, I could have seen it 2020 looking back. But again, visionaries and taking actions on these visions is not always easy. Now we're gonna shift to the Silk Road strategy and the world's logistics passport. But before we begin and to familiarize everybody with it, there's a short video from DP World about the world's logistics passport.
The World Logistics Passport Initiative, a Dubai Logistics World Trade Facilitation Program. One of the initiatives for the Dubai Silk Road strategy, the WLP allows traders and freight forwards to move cargo more efficiently through Dubai's multimodal transportation hubs. To surpass the already strong position as a logistics leader, the implementation of the visionary Dubai Silk Road strategy will further develop the Emirates logistics sector. The introduction of Dubai Logistics World's WLP program will create a virtual multimodal transportation route that can be extended globally. With the WLP, a sustainable program that provides traders and freight forwarders operational and financial benefits across the value chain, Dubai Logistics World is leading the trend with the target to decrease overall costs and increase revenues, thereby increasing direct, transit and free zone trading in Dubai and its roadmap of connected hubs. The WLP program identifies synergies between governmental entities and logistical hubs to unlock and bridge, with a two-ways path, a mega hub in Dubai with the manufacturing hubs in Asia and to growing hubs in Africa, Central and South America. Each terminal point in the path of the WLP enhanced route will serve as its own regional mega hub. The WLP is the soft tissue that connects public and private sector stakeholders from across the world to reinvent logistics and trade together.
Well, we are back now in a very interesting conversation with our panelists. Now, Mr. Mahmoud, speaking of the world's logistics passport, that video was very informative. And but can you tell me as to why the decision was taken? Because we were looking at the Silk Road strategy from afar. We were sitting and hoping to be connected or to be a part of it. But I think DP World has taken the bull by the horns and also said, look, we're going to be proactive. We know what's the overlying strategy. Where can we create it ourselves and complement it? In a minute, would you be able to talk about that?
All right, thank you, Omar. Dubai World Logistics Passport is the government of Dubai initiative, and it's blessed and supported by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid. It was launched in Davos this year, and it gets the support of the Crown Prince of Dubai. So DP World is front-ending it at this stage, and it's mainly DP World, the two biggest player in Dubai of cargo, which is the sea freighters, which is DP World, and the air freight, which is Emirates Airlines, besides their passengers planes. So World Logistics Passport, it's the first in the world, a loyalty program for freight forwarders and traders. It gives incentives to the WLP members, whoever is a member, from a service provider. Service providers are in Dubai, for example, the service providers of the WLP members are, one of them is Dubai Chamber. They give benefits and discounts in terms of operational financial discounts and operational easiness and convenience to the members. DP World, Port of Jebel Ali, Dubai Customs, Dubai South, DMCC, the Department of Economic Development, many players, Danata, Dubai Airport, Emirates Airlines, Fly Dubai, all these guys in Dubai, they will give benefits to whoever ship their cargo from Dubai and to Dubai. So anybody who uses Dubai, these are identified members that we have identified. These are big companies to begin with. Yeah. And we will give them ease and convenience. This is for UAE. So we are taking this globally. we're creating the same concept in 4 continents, in Latin America, in Africa, in Asia, and in maybe in Australia in the future. So it's south-south trade. It enables the cargo movement by sea. It's a multimodal. You mentioned about the Chinese Silk Road. Dubai created its own Silk Road. We call it Dubai Silk Road. It's different than the traditional Chinese Silk Road. Chinese Silk Road focuses on the land sea transportation. Our focus is multimodal, with more focuses on air and sea, which differentiates us from the Chinese Silk Road. Our focus is in south-south. So traditionally, a shipment goes from Latin America, goes to Europe, then comes down. So it goes from south to north, then back to south. We are changing this route, creating new trade routes, connecting the south-south, connecting Colombia with Senegal, to Dubai, to Australia, to Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, and China, and vice versa, from southeast to Dubai, to Africa, to Latin America. So this is a global initiative. We are creating the same model we have created here, and there is a huge interest, Omar and ladies and gentlemen, in this. We have already signed four regional hubs for this. Plus, the third angle of the World Logistics Passport is the cargo movers in the world, the big players. Could be Unilever is one of them. We will include them as a platinum member immediately. They get the highest number of benefits. We have 3 categories of membership: silver, gold, and platinum. The higher you go, the more benefits you get, the more discounts, the more ease and the convenience.
And it's definitely, I've seen it when I've gone to other parts of the world, such as in Africa, where we see certain gaps. And I feel sometimes where DP World or Emirates goes, it's a game changer. Like it's a Starbucks or a McDonald's. It's something you trust, and you rely on. And so, Mr. Yasser, I wanted to talk, as Unilever has a network around the world and many different countries. Can you talk about the effects for you in Dubai, or the potential for you to shift or adjust your routes and supply chain logistics by having your DP World sort of Starbucks or hub that you're comfortable with, that you're used to, and has standards that you can rely on?
After that, for sure, Omar. But let me just start by thanking Mr. Mahmoud for the offer he just actually offered online for the Platinum cluster for Unilever. And this is something that we can build on, and definitely we'll be using this in the future. So in fact, it's a game changer for the south-to-south trade. The World Logistics Passport marked the beginning of the implementation of the Dubai Silk Road strategy that would lead to a new phase of important economic growth era in UAE and the region as well. So it's very important actually for the whole industry. It's not only will increase the ease of moving goods in and out from Dubai, but will foster more optimal direct trade routes between the Latin America, Africa, and Asia, which is something that we can build on, especially in our manufacturing footprint in the region. And in Dubai in particular, we have 2 big factories here for Unilever in Dubai. From a global perspective, the World Logistics Passport will enable partners to countries, the whole country's partners in the south-to-south trade, to leverage the expertise of Dubai institutions such as, for example, DP World, with existing global logistics network of ports and economic parts, or for example, the Emirates Airline Group, worldwide with the NATA and the Sky Cargo Network. As Mahmoud said, it is sea, land, and land freight as well. And Dubai expertise in customs and trade governance, which are leading edge globally, frankly. As a result of all that, these partners countries will be able to improve their own processes and capabilities to improve security, transparency, and ease of moving goods, and transforming them into a global trade hubs, which is being changed for a big change for Dubai and the region, which is something we can all build and benefit from.
Well, I think this hopefully helps where Dubai is no longer limited by the geographical location. It's actually inserting itself and its ethos and the way it does things around the world, and it's going global. So it's definitely very interesting. Shifting now to the digital technology themes of things, where I'm very happy now to share with you a video about Virgin Hyperloop, and then we can take our last session with the panelists.
We're driven to explore, to connect, to innovate, to muster the courage to take a giant leap forward. The time has come to ask ourselves again, what is the future we want to build?
All right, team, please confirm you're ready.
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 Capcom, you are a go for launch countdown.
Pegasus, this is Capcom. Prepare for launch in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch.
Today, the first people traveled safely on a Hyperloop. Tomorrow, Virgin Hyperloop will change the way the world moves with an on-demand, sustainable mass transportation system that connects cities in minutes. The future of Hyperloop travel is real, and the moment is now.
So, Harj, over to you. Now, like I said, we were having conversations, and we were talking about imaginations being limited at certain times, and where a glass ceiling is broken by a game changer. And we were talking about the impact that potential, maybe I'm asking you to be an artist, but I want to talk about the painting the picture of what it would be like. You were talking about the time frames of going from Dubai to Abu Dhabi, and Abu Dhabi to Saudi Arabia. You're talking about airports expanding. You were talking about retail. Because can you expand a little bit about painting a picture about what Virgin Hyperloop can do for all parts of life, whether it's a mall, an airport, life, or anything else, especially in Dubai or UAE to India as well?
Okay, Omar, I think you give me a free rein to talk about nearly anything. Look, let's go back, and imagine if time and distance is no longer a barrier, would we do what we do today? Would we? Now, if you look at the way cities are planned, we touched very lightly on smart cities earlier on, but look at the way we plan our cities of today. Yeah, it's almost going back to the Victorians, where you work, rest, and play in the same location because it's convenient, right? Yeah. But then you look at places like India, which is also an area that we're doing a lot of work in, and you look at what's happening to tier 1 cities in India, where the population of those cities is going to go from 300 million to 600 million by 2030. Yeah. Those cities are already over densified. They are environmentally unsustainable. So if we shatter that glass ceiling, as you said, and we suddenly say, look, time and distance isn't a barrier. And by the way, for businesses and logistics, there's no impediment. You can actually have your business wherever you want it, but without any impediment to your end customer or cost. Would you do what you do today? And the answer to that would be probably not. Because what you are able to then do is have facilities matched to natural resources. You don't have to bring resources in to over-densified areas. You could actually have cities that could be returned back for living, back to people. Yeah. You can actually have opportunities, economic opportunities, but also opportunities for individuals where they don't necessarily want to up sticks and leave and disappear and go and live in another environment. They want to remain where they are, but have the same opportunity. Now, if you are able to connect where 200 or 300 kilometers is no longer an issue, and I'll give you an example. If you lived in London, and I do this, if I had a presentation, I do this on a presentation. But if you actually look at London, you know, it'll take you 30 minutes. 30 minutes, you'd probably do 10 kilometers. 30 minutes in our technology would cover all of England, all of Wales, most of Western Europe. That becomes your commute area. So all of a sudden now, the same happens here in the Gulf. If we take 30 minutes, yeah, so let's increase it to an hour. You could be in Riyadh. You can live in Dubai. You can live in Riyadh. It doesn't really matter where you live. Your businesses could be in Riyadh, but some of it could be here. It doesn't matter now. All of a sudden, everything's connected.
That's a very big game changer. I mean, that's going to create a disruption between cities and tourism. If I can suddenly go ahead.
Imagine now what happens to aviation, small, short haul aviation, and look at what happens to airports. Because I think as we move forward, it's all about accessibility. And what we tend to find, I'm going to go on to aviation now, is that first of all, short haul aviation is very polluting. It's very, very difficult at the moment, and certainly in the current climate. But when you then start looking at how we travel, what we tend to do is airports are all, most of them are in the wrong location, right? If you had a better opportunity, you would actually have airport terminals close to where people live.
It's a lot of legacy, yeah.
So what you do is you don't have that stress, all those stress points. When you add those stress points up when you are traveling, they're quite significant. If you can remove those, then you are now increasing and you are now tackling the key thing, and that is passenger experience. And what is that passenger experience of the future? And it's to eliminate all those stress points as we travel. But more importantly, let's have the infrastructure where it can be sustainably put, accommodated, and let's have dispersed terminals where people live. So you don't have to have those journeys from A to B just to go to a place where you want to travel. And then integrate long haul, you know, redistribute your fleets, put fleets where they are most efficient, integrate them in with new technologies like ours, which will actually get you from, you know, a hub to inner city areas almost at a very low cost and a very low dispensation when it comes to environment and sustainability. So I think there are immense opportunities in terms of how we look at the way we travel, what we look at the passenger experience, and certainly how we look at freight logistics of the future, where time is of the essence, certainly on perishable goods, on time-sensitive goods like pharmaceuticals, like perishables, where I think we can follow a very, very efficient aviation model, but much more effectively. And ultimately, it's about capacity.
Yeah,
let's not forget about the capacity on this. This is not a system that is just you know, for the few. This is mass, and it's mass transport and logistics redefined.
Well, I mean, like you said, once you told me about breaking the shackles of legacy infrastructure, my mind sort of removed all the limitations on what could happen and what change could happen across the landscape, and like the old railroad in the US, where it will develop new cities. So that's very interesting. So ladies and gentlemen, we're fast running out of time. So I'm going to give the last question to Mr. Yasser from Unilever. Now, I've seen a TV show called Futurama. It's based in 3,000 years, the year 3000. And there's, of course, something like a Virgin Hyperloop for humans. But one of the funniest things there I saw is that one of the protagonists, he went to sleep and he saw an advertising in his mind. And he woke up and he said, I had a strange dream. And they said, no, those are beamed in adverts. So we're not there yet. But Mr. Yasser, I wanted to ask you about your predictions in terms of the very competitive FMCG worlds. We're looking at what I call, people call it engagement of customers. I call it customer bandwidth, where certain channels now, such as Zomato, such as Uber, such as many different platforms are taking over the customer engagement bandwidth, also Netflix. But how is it for somebody in FMCG, where it's easy for customers to switch? The loyalty might be, you know, medium to low. I could see you in the supermarket, and it's looked at sometimes a daily essential. What does Unilever do in the logistics sense, in the digital sense, in terms of marketing, to quickly and all the time stay engaged with customers, to have that advert implanted in their minds going forward? What do you see as the most important technologies and logistics efforts that you have to adopt to stay always relevant and to fend off the competition?
Thank you, Omar. Actually, in Unilever, we have a global supply chain transformation agenda. And with the pandemic and the COVID has even accelerated the digital transformation. Let me just give you an example. As you said, we are not there yet. Actually, we are just progressing and accelerating. We have re-engineered all the production lines using the fourth industrial revolution technology. That's kind of deploying the flexible automation and to take advantage of the digital and artificial intelligence across the end-to-end process to meet increasing consumer demand. So whatever demand signal we're getting from the consumer on a daily and weekly basis, that automatically being factored with the digital platforms to even start planning even the production lines in the factory. In our personal care factory line here in Dubai, we recognized as a part of the World Economic Forum Global Lighthouse Network in 2019 as the first factory for Unilever. This platform recognizes the manufacturing sites that are making radical leaps in the development of and the application of the digital industrial technology. During the pandemic and during the lockdown, we have even tested and we have tried, and it was working very well. We tested working and operating production lines remotely by the operators from their homes during the lockdown. Without having this kind of digital platforms, who can imagine that you can operate a factory by operators from home during the critical time? In fact, this digital transformation helped in achieving a significant increase in the factory efficiency and the operation efficiency to react to consumer dynamic needs on weekly and daily basis, as I have said. Also, the reduction in cost as well as the environmental footprint. For example, in the personal care in Dubai, we are generating 2 megawatts of our power needs from the solar and thermal panel. And that has actually impacted all our wastage in the factory. Also, we have already announced globally from Unilever that we are getting out of the traditional chemicals to different chemicals using in our products to reduce our waste in Unilever environmental footprint. So the digital era and whatever we are testing in production, exactly we have the same thing in distribution and logistics as well. But I know that we're running out of time. We cannot go through everything in the 1 hour. Back to you.
I mean, I can't wait. Hopefully, to see where Dubai's World Logistics Passport and Virgin Hyperloop converging. You open a new facility that's operated by you from a bed and breakfast somewhere. You're operating a full factory, and this is part of what today was about. It's about expanding the horizon, the vision, and the imagination. I have a 4G phone. I ask, why do I need 5G? But now when I hear about all these different fast requirements, that all these high expectations, I understand what this new infrastructure, this fast, decentralized, smart infrastructure that really, really pushes every asset to its maximum. I know there were questions that we couldn't answer relating to food security, for example, but hopefully some of what was shared today will shed light on what we are doing with all our assets, whether disposable or long-term assets. And I want to thank the speakers for being here today. And I want to thank the audience for listening. Layla, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Omar. Gentlemen, thank you very much for participating in our webinar today. Extremely informative, and I hope a lot of our delegates today have taken great value from your expertise. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us this morning. We very much hope you found the session informative for your future plans and development. We would love to get everybody's feedback. If you can have a look at the top right-hand side of your screen, you'll see an icon aptly named feedback. It will only take you a few minutes. If you could please spend some time to provide your comments for today's event, that would really help us to make everything we do even better for you. For those who took notes during the webinar, please make sure you download them before you exit the platform. And again, I'd like to thank all of our participating speakers for taking the time and joining us today. Thank you very much, Omar, for moderating our session. And we look forward to seeing you all again at our next webinar, inshallah. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Awesome.